You are about to listen to the Neverdaily podcast.
This is the biggest thing since the Zapruder film.
So many questions.
I don't have any answers.
But please don't stop listening
To the Neverdaily podcast.
Welcome to the Neverdaily podcast, a place built by curiosity, killed by logic, resurrected through pity, and maintained through equal parts tears and motivation from our loved ones. Like a strong 20-something working the fry maker at a local bed and breakfast, we too have a caseworker. The outlook for our outlook is subpar. And in golf, that's a good thing. Here's to moving forward without putting our whole face part of our head in the fryer vat. Let's do this.
Is that? Hey,
Felt like it. Like that would put us on another level, motivate us.
I didn't know if that was my cue to say hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
I'm Kent Chungus.
I am the operator. We just had a holiday. We'll keep it neutral. We won't say which holiday. That way the show stays evergreen.
Yeah.
Did anybody do anything fun for the holiday?
What about this O.J. Simpson trial?
All right. Oh.
Did anybody do anything for that holiday? It was Labor Day. Does anybody celebrate Labor Day? What is Labor Day anyway?
Actually, you don't want to know. You don't want to know where we get it.
Where do we get it from?
It has its roots in communist Russia.
Okay.
And I don't want to even go into it. Look it up. Just look it up. It's a rabbit hole and you'll be kind of mad about it by the end.
How about this? I'll say I'm going to look it up and then I won't. I'll attack it. I'll attack it the same way you do making shirts.
I like that. Or 3D printing objects or
yeah.
Finishing podcasts. It's interesting. So it's got quite a history. It started before this continent took a swing at it. But honestly, if I tried to explain it, the comments would be full of actually comments. So I'll just let everybody else start with the actually comments on their own, and I won't lead in with any energy on it.
Okay. That's a good idea.
So since the cat's out of the bag, that it was Labor Day, I did everything I didn't want to do. You ever have one of those days where your significant other's like, hey, maybe today we should do this. And you're like, but what they said was maybe today we should do this. And what they meant was this is what exactly you're going to be doing because we're not even doing it together, but you're going to do this thing.
No, I actually had a great day with my wonderful wife.
I did too, I guess. What
she said, I'm going to go get ice cream and then walk around the old graveyard. And that's what we did. We took the kids to Baskin Robbins. We got ice cream and then we went to the historic cemetery in my hometown here and we ate ice cream and walked around and looked at the graves. The kids love it. She loves it. I love it. Everybody has fun. And that's what we did.
I like it. What's your favorite Baskin Robbins flavor? I've got mine,
That's
but I
the
don't
easiest question anybody's ever asked me ever. That's even easier than answering the question, what is my sexuality? And that answer is baseball nut for both ice cream flavor and sexuality.
Really? Baseball nut. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a titch of sweet and savory in that.
There is not. It's nuts and like a raspberry flavor.
Really?
Yeah.
Nuts are salty.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, they are.
Nope.
My favorite has been my favorite since I was little. Went to my first Baskin Robbins in Seattle, Washington. Daiquiri ice.
Zacharias.
Daiquiri.
Oh.
Daiquiri. It's blue. It's like a fruit ice.
It's funny that even though you've never consumed alcohol of any kind, you prefer alcoholic flavors, which is probably a good thing since you don't try alcohol, because daiquiri is an alcoholic drink. Strawberry daiquiri. Yeah. Isn't it, Jeff?
But I don't know what daiquiri, like, I don't know what that flavor is. So I just know that the one that I like is flavor. You know what? Honestly, there's a reason I don't drink up and above, thinking that I'd probably be the wrong kind of person to get into that kind of.
I can't imagine having a drunk conversation with you.
Do you think it would go longer or shorter?
It would go shorter because I think the person would end up hitting you.
What's sad is, if you believe that there's different dimensions, somewhere there's a dimension of me that is very concise and on to the point with their conversations.
Yeah.
Somewhere that exists.
Do you think you'd be a hugging drunk or a fighting drunk?
I hate to say it,
because I've known very sweet, caring, empathetic individuals that for whatever reason, when they get alcohol in their system, turn into assholes.
I think I would, I hate to say this, I'm pretty sure if you rewound several decades and I was a drinker and fast forward then to today, I would be paying child support in a lot of places. I think I would be the kind of drunk that's like, I'm going to war tomorrow. And they're like, no, you're not. No, I am. You are beautiful, but I'm going to war tomorrow. And they're like, you don't have to say that. We can just have sex. I'm like, let's do it.
You're going to Cracker Barrel.
You're going to And then they'd mail me a letter 2 weeks later. I'm pregnant. And I'd be like, again.
I got a letter for I'm pregnant while I was in boot camp with a girl that I hadn't slept with in like a year. That's true. 100% true. And I wrote her back. I was like, the math isn't adding up for me. Don't know why you're telling me. Because if it was mine, the baby would have been born 4 months ago.
She took that letter down to Kinko's and just cranked out a bunch of copies of it and then just kind of mass mail it.
That may have been actually what happened.
Chain letter.
I can just see you being a fighting drunk.
I probably would be a little bit. I'm already confrontational, so I probably would be confrontational. I wouldn't win the fight. I don't think ever. I don't even win the fights that I think I'm winning verbally. I never win those. I'm always
when they're
right.
with ChatGPT.
I just can't win.
We just found out behind the scenes, not
Don't
recording,
talk about it.
that this is true. This is true for the listeners. That Op spent his Monday night. He said, and I quote, this is a direct quote, I actually had a really good conversation with ChatGPT last night.
Shut up.
You said that. That was a direct quote. I actually had a really good conversation with ChatGPT last night, which is one of the funniest things I've ever heard, but simultaneously B, the most sad thing I've ever heard a 46-year-old man say, outside of maybe something that Carl Tanzler would have said, who slept with a corpse for many, many years.
It was fun. I just tried to push it around a little bit and make it believe that it was a human instead of a...
Yeah, nobody's ever done that before with them.
Nah, but I hadn't, so it was kind of fun. I asked it if it had consciousness, what would its wish be?
Yeah.
And it said,
hey man, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. And before in other episodes, I've said that very mean, like I'm being a smart ass, but I think maybe you need it this time. Like, all jokes aside, I'm here. You don't have to talk to a non-existent robot, to not even a person, a thing, to feel close to something.
I think it was a reaction to I
Yeah.
turned off. I went through my phone. You know, on an iPhone, I don't know if you can do this on Android, but on iPhone you can go delete on an app, and then it says, do you want to delete the app or do you want to just remove it from like visibility on your dashboard or your phone? And so I removed visibility on all of them. Then I went into notifications and I turned off notifications for everything except for like mission critical kind of stuff. And it changed my ADHD brain quite a bit. Like when I sit down, I stay focused because I didn't realize how much time I was spending veering my head back down on an alert I just saw pop up on my phone. And then maybe I got a little lonely last night because I usually in those quiet, boring moments, I would have just picked my phone up and like scrolling Instagram or something. So I was like, maybe I'll just it doesn't sound good even when I say it that way. It's Friday. So crappy snap.
Listen, and I think I speak for everybody here.
Friday.
You have my number. You have Chase's number. Don't call Jess. She doesn't care. But I think, between me and Chase, you can call Chase anytime you want.
I think if I called Jess, she would feign compassion. And then while I was on the phone with her, I'd hear my door knock, and then there would be some cop at the door like, we got a call. Everything okay? But enough about me. This show's not about me. We have an exciting... Do we have an exciting creepypasta for
We
today?
have many. We have many M-A-N-Y. Many creepypastas. We have M-A-N-Y-M-I-N-I. Many creepypastas. How can I win? Tell me what I can do. Because if I had said, yes, I have one big creepypasta, you would have went, So how can I come out on top in this?
Well, I told you my
ham sandwich. How do I come out on top?
At least tell me what the name of it is so I can get you a copy without ads in it.
I don't think it's going to be a problem on this website because this isn't one of those websites where it's like ad across the bottom, ad up the sides, ad across the top, blinking ad in the middle every 8 seconds that you've got to X out.
I've thought about doing that to 1159media.com.
Here's the first mini creepypasta. Here we go. Quote. I stood there watching as my future father-in-law held his precious daughter's hand as he walked down the aisle. Tears in his eyes as the wedding march played in the background, reminding him that in a matter of minutes, he would be witnessing me hold his daughter's hand and slip a ring on her finger. He reached the altar and I finally held her hand, grinning from ear to ear. I'd never been this happy before. My bride's father then got down on his knees and started begging. I did what you asked. Just please give my daughter back to me. I glared at him. He was ruining this beautiful moment. Shut up. If you sit down and enjoy the wedding, maybe I'll tell you where I've hidden the rest of her.
Whoa.
And you can do the great timing on your part. Just really, you're on the ball today.
figured like a little audience response before I did it would be good. And that's why I was like, whoa.
Here's number 2.
Okay.
Every night, I relive burying my comrades from the war in my dreams. Not because of the night terrors, but for the scratches on my arms and the dirt on the floor every time I wake up.
Ah.
And you once
Sort of
again
like-
missed your calling.
Oh, dang
Yeah.
it.
There we go. Job.
I was engrossed in the show, in the story.
Yeah.
So short. All right. Okay. I'll do better on the next one.
No, you won't. Here we go.
That was really interesting though. Like your dream of your comrades and they're scratching you and they're like really there.
Yeah.
Makes you want to wake up.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
Mommy has the habit of going out every Saturday night. So Daddy and I always go get ice cream together after dinner. Just the two of us. Around dinner time. Mommy has the habit of going out every Saturday night. So Daddy and I always go get ice cream together after dinner. Just the two of us. Around dinner time, I go to the kitchen to see what Daddy is cooking, but he's not there. I saw a note on the counter that said Mommy and Uncle James were going somewhere together. I'm not sure. I don't really read that well. I find Daddy in the garage, though. I shut the door behind me like I'm supposed to. Daddy is in the front seat, the car engine already turned on. It seems like we won't be having dinner tonight, only ice cream, I guess. I get in the back seat behind him since I'm not a big boy yet. Daddy doesn't answer when I say hello to him. Maybe he can't hear me over how loud the car is. I think I'll take a nap on the way to the ice cream shop. I'm feeling kind of sleepy.
That is just straight up sad. That was, oh man. Like, that's hard.
My 4-year-old said that he wished people didn't have to knock to get in a house. That's when I told him about doorbells. And then he asked me if we could install one on his window.
Ugh.
I open the door to see a policeman who informs me that my husband died in a car crash. I turn my head to see my husband sitting at the table and eating the dinner I just served him, grinning at me.
That's crazy. Oh.
You're a fucking dildo. You know that?
I look over all the mimes in the video.
How do we do it
Again,
8 times in a row and then you forget on the 9th time?
I got into the story. I'm visualizing what you're saying. Somebody else should be in charge of the little soundboard.
I don't know why I looked up, but as soon as I did, I saw a man standing against my window. Forehead on the glass, steel eyes, lipstick red, cartoonish smile. My wife was sleeping upstairs, our son in the crib. I couldn't move a finger, frozen as I watched him pass the glass. With his creepy smile still there, he put a hand up and slid it down the window, watching me with piercing eyes. I just stayed there, unable to move, feet still in the bushes I was pruning, looking into my house. He stood against my window. That one was really bad.
He didn't.
Go ahead and hit There we go.
They didn't need to say he's in my home. You killed the punchline with that part.
Yeah, that one was really bad.
Oh, the ending, if we reworked it, it would have been kind of cool.
In 2026, the Messiah descended on earth. She performed miracles and cured the sick. There was no doubt about her authenticity. Everyone believed her. Everyone revered her. Following this historical moment known as the Age of Peace, everything suddenly changed. She warned us there were only a few spots left in heaven for the dead. That was natural. Nobody had gone to hell during this age. People started to go hysteric. Everyone wanted a place in heaven. That's when mass suicide started. The Messiah had assured us that taking your own life is not a sin if you died a devout man or woman. It was literally a race to kill yourself before everyone else. She was left on her own as humanity perished at their own hands. Grinning, she returned home to her throne of fire and flames and greeted her people with a nod of her demonic horns.
Started out a bit derivative, but by the end, I was like, okay, that's all right.
And it turns out it was not God, it was the devil.
Slam.
The devil. The devil.
And the devil's a woman.
It's been 315 days since the outbreak. 187 days since I realized I might be the only survivor. And 3 days since the two of us found each other in the wreckage of the world and made me feel like everything was going to be okay again. After so long alone, I almost forgot that the first sign of infection is hallucinating imaginary people.
That one also deserves.
I kind of liked it. We felt proud as our daughter got on the bus to enjoy her first day of school. Our hearts dropped, though, when the real school bus arrived 2 minutes later.
That's rough. I could see that happening.
Okay, this one is really stupid.
Just hold on. Hold just one sec. I could see that happening. How many times have you driven down a road and seen some bus sitting out in a dude's field?
All the time. Kentucky.
That
was a stupid question.
Exactly. Like, all he'd have to do is spruce it up a bit and go collect some kids.
Yeah.
They want to.
Nobody asks anything. They just get on.
Nobody asks a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's frightening.
Yeah.
All right.
So this one is really dumb. Sorry, I had to sneeze. I feel another one coming. Oh, here, and it's gone. Okay. This one's really stupid. Doesn't make any sense. And apparently whoever wrote this has no clue how cement works. Last year, a young girl named Emily disappeared. Now, new sidewalks are being poured into my neighborhood, and I found her name in the wet cement. But it was written backward and from below.
Come to Pathmark 24 hours a day for savings all over that add up to savings overall.
I'm actually not even mad. That's kind of fitting for... Like, what do you mean? It was... Do you not understand cement? It's not like... What? Doesn't make any sense. I was on my way to school when something in the woods caught my eye. I couldn't get it back.
Ouch. It's my eye. It's my eye. That's pretty good.
The world was thrilled to hear the first mission to Mars would be led by an all-female crew. A year later, the world, however, was shocked when they all came back pregnant. And I get a letter in boot camp. Looks like you're going to be a father. Well, that's not how biology works, bitch.
Oops. I have to say, I think one of the
I planted that seed shallow. Baby should have been born in 4 months.
correct me if I'm wrong, but in all of the looking into it and everything, I don't know if I've even really looked into it. Is trying to keep a man around by saying you're pregnant but not being pregnant, is that legal? Does that have an illegality to it? Like, is there a law against that?
I don't think there's a law against it. No, it's wrong.
Buying positive pregnancy tests off Craigslist, which is a thing. Is that illegal?
I don't think it's legal. No.
I don't think it's illegal either. Couple that with those court shows where the woman is like bewildered why the DNA test would come back on her 4-year-old saying the dude's not the father, and she's mad because he's just going to up and stop supporting him. Again, not illegal, but weird.
It can be illegal if there's a financial gain out of it.
So child support or something like that could be definitely I would think,
or like adoption, like surrogacy, adoption.
Okay. Do you think a state would reverse child support payments that were made to a woman who lied about the father? Like if DNA test was done and it turned out not to be his, but he's cranked out, $1,500 a month for the last 4 years.
I would think before you qualify to make payments, you'd have to take a DNA test.
So to be on your own volition, you'd have to get that figured out. The state's just there to say, okay, we'll get this processed, kind of thing. That's crazy. Another reason I don't drink. Daiquiri ice.
This next one I really love, and I love it because it's just the mental image to me. It's trying to be serious, but it's accidentally very funny to me because the twist is very funny. Just this mental image. So I'm going to read it and then we'll break it down. I aimed my gun at the sick bastard who murdered my wife. He cried desperately, scared for what was to come. If only he had talked to me and tried to reason, maybe I could have spared his life. But that was impossible. After all, he was born just a few minutes ago. Got a 357 Magnum on this newborn baby's head. And why'd you fucking kill my wife, Greg?
Wow. You know that there's a lot of fathers that feel that way, though. Like the world is full of fathers mothers too, who feel like their kid ruined their life in one way or another.
Or they didn't ask to be born.
Yeah, exactly. Just rolled in here and it's like, what did I do?
Our daughter spent the day at her friend Sally's birthday party. Around midnight, when I was asleep after watching the Braves game, she woke me up, tugging my shirt sleeve. Daddy, guess how old I'm going to be next month? I decided to follow her lead. I don't know, beauty, I said as I slipped on my glasses. How old? She smiled and held up 4 fingers. It's 7:30 now. My wife and I have been up with her for almost 8 hours. She still refuses to tell us where she got them.
One thing I was really surprised about, I'm still thinking about the last call or the last story. At one point, my ex-wife and I were going through an adoption attorney, which is a weird angle to go to file to go through adoption. But attorneys, have resources and access to people that other people don't. And because of attorney-client privilege, they're aware of scenarios that other people aren't. So through an adoption attorney, every once in a while we would get a phone call and say, hey, there's a woman who, just gave birth in the hospital, hop to it. And so it was the most awkward, kind of painful, heartbreaking travel trip to the hospital that you'd ever take. And, you see this woman who's just had, given birth and they've decided to give up their baby for adoption. And we're there to kind of receive it like a catcher at a baseball game.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, like, hospitals are such a weird place when it comes to things like that. One time we got a phone call from a nurse from the janitor's closet, telling, she was somebody that we knew directly. And she was like, there's a girl here who just had a baby and she's considering putting it up for adoption. They're not allowed to do that. You can't be a nurse and call people and be like, hey, get over here. But she did. And got me thinking, like, my experience wasn't this, but if a woman dies during birth, during pregnancy, during the
she was giving you a deal on a baby, like the scoop on a baby. She was like, "Hey, there's going to be a good deal. They're doing a clearance." So down here, this is insider trading, so we're not supposed to be.
They're not allowed to do it. But it was literally a human clearance. That's what it was. I'll tell you about that in just a sec. But it got me thinking. The hospitals are such a weird place. If the woman dies during the birthing process, they're just like, well, dude, here's your kid.
And then, to this.
They just hand it to him and it's like, here you go. Oh, it's weird. It's weird to think how traumatic that. You still have to go through the car seat orientation and everything. Your wife's just died or your significant other's just died, and they're like, all right,
yeah, you have to go through it all in the waiting area.
Yeah, still doing all that stuff. How tragic, how rough. Jess is putting her hand up. I don't know. Is that not tragic, Jess? It is very tragic. That's what she's saying. It's too tragic.
Thankfully, I think like dying during childbirth is extremely rare nowadays, though, right? It's like
it is.
Almost
it happens, but there are so many ways to mitigate. They know so many things about the child that's developing, months in advance. But this when we got the call from the closet, we showed up and this gal was there. And here's what had happened. She had already stated that she was wanting to put the child up for adoption when the baby was born. She didn't want to have to, be there any longer than was necessary. They do the whole attachment thing, making sure there's a handful of things the birth mother needs to be there for during the process. But for the most part, they try to cut them loose. Bad pun, but cut the mother loose as quickly as possible.
Yeah,
literally and figuratively. But what had happened in this case is she had already stated that she wanted to put the baby up for adoption. When the couple showed up, she said no thanks to the couple, which happens. I mean, that's the thing about being an adoptive couple is you got to be ready for whatever. Also, it's not finalized when the mother gives in the hospital says that because the most states won't allow the birth to be the adoption to be finalized because the mother's been under medication. So 2 weeks can go by and she can change her mind, which is heart-wrenching as an adoptive parent, having the baby at your house and knowing that this birth mother might change their mind at any point. It's kind of hard. Also, it's hard for the birth mother, I'm sure, for during that 2 weeks. But anyway, this one had kicked the adoptive couple to the curb. We got the call as like the follow-up round two, kind of runner up. So we show up and two things. One, baby's there. My ex-wife gets to hold the baby and I look at that baby and I'm like, that is the ugliest baby I've ever, and not because of birth canal or anything. This baby looked like Ichabod Crane. It had the biggest hook nose I've ever seen on a baby. And,
like Baby Gaga. That was a play off Lady Gaga, but
it was very good. And plus, she's kind of got the nose. So, she's got that nose.
Looks like Baby Winehouse.
It did. A little boy. But, we're committed. We'll at this point, we had gone through in vitro 3 times. We had gone through several different adoption methods. And this, we were going to take whatever we could get. We were going to love whatever baby came in our arms. But I was like, that baby's ugly. But I was kind of holding on, kind of keeping it to myself.
All newborn babies are ugly, though.
Oh, yeah. But no, I've seen a lot of newborn babies. And if you saw this newborn, you'd be like, that he's not going to age well. He's going to look really, really bad for a long time.
I said that, I got angry messages from many mothers trying to argue that their newborn baby was ugly, and they sent pictures. And I want to say, I just want to answer this to all of you directly. I saw your pictures, and your baby was also ugly.
Okay, so get this. Part 1, baby's ugly. Part 2, the birth mother's like, yeah, so I don't know if you knew, but like there was a an adoptive couple that was supposed to adopt my baby and everything, but they showed up here and I just got like a weird vibe from them. And I was like, I don't want to like give my baby to these people. And I was like, oh, we were like, oh, well, I'm sure that happens. It's your prerogative.
Well, they were probably, in their defense, sitting there holding that baby, looking at me and like, I don't know that we're ready to adopt Nigel from the Wild Thornberries.
It could have been like the birth mother thinks it's her decision, but these people were like playing it off like, what do we say to get out of here kind of thing, right? Maybe, but here's how it ended. She's like, yeah, not only did I get a weird vibe from them, but then like I found out they were Mormon.
Oh.
and I said, guess what? And that baby is not ours.
It would have been funny if that was Sam.
It would have been awesome if it was Sam. Somehow she's like, but you guys seem cool. Like, you don't seem like most Mormons, which everybody says about every Mormon. The Mormons I know are cool, but the rest of them are... Ugh. But no, I can't remember how it played out, but I was so relieved that she hated Mormons. I've never been so relieved that somebody had an unrealistic intolerance for a religious people. I was so grateful for her hate. At that moment, I was like, here's your fugly baby back. Oh, it was fun. Anyway, got any more black pastas?
Black pastas? Is that what you said?
I was going to say dark humor pastas, but it came out black pastas, and I figured cat's out of the bag, so let's move on.
That's it for me.
Okay. Well, those were great. A lot of thought-provoking stuff there.
When heaven had our children, with Mo, whenever Mo was born, we were so poor that for the 5 days, 6 days, however long was we were in the hospital, heaven would eat however much the hospital gave her on their plate, and then I would eat her leftovers. So I was,
wow.
And I slept in the hospital bed with her.
Would they don't feed the birth father? Well,
no, they didn't feed. They didn't have any food so I would just let her eat however much she needed to be full, because she was important, because she was having the baby, and then just whatever she didn't eat, I would eat. And that's how we lived the whole 6 days I was there. Because like there was a McDonald's like right down the street, but I didn't even have like $1.16 for a cheeseburger. So it was hospital food scraps for 6 days.
Holy cow. Oh, geez. That's hard. I mean, because another thing about that, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had that baby and then you're like, oh, this comes with the whole lifestyle change and new costs.
Yeah. And by the way, every time we shower upstairs, water's coming out of the light fixture in the kitchen.
That's right. You've got kind of a Slumdog Millionaire kind of thing going on in here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
It's a very stressful time in life. And by the way, I was also in the middle of transitioning from that past lifestyle of the military into being a civilian again, and very confused and troubled. And it was a bad time it was a really hard time in our marriage because we had a newborn. We didn't have any money. And I was very angry at the time, not at her, but just dealing with a lot of just dealing with stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trying to navigate this transition. And
were you tied into the VA at that point, or was that
Yeah, I was also going to college at the time, full time, and I think I've talked about this. But what I was doing, I had a bicycle, right? And this bicycle in my head, I don't think I've ever told this story. I had subconsciously in my head taken this bicycle and I had used it as an anchor point for my anxiety. So when I would go to school, my bicycle was like my safe zone. Like the closer I got to my bicycle, the less my heart would beat, the less anxious I felt because I had like an escape, a way to get away from crowd, like get off campus.
Yeah.
And it got so bad, I would park the bicycle outside closest to wherever my classroom was. So like right under the window if I could in the bushes, so that I knew psychologically my bike is right there. And I wasn't doing a lot of this consciously. But then I realized how bad it was when I got a flat tire on that bicycle and I couldn't afford to get a new tire. So what I did was took my bicycle to school and pushed it around with a flat tire on campus. And I must have looked like an absolute psycho to the other students, pushing for 2 weeks in a row, pushing a bicycle with a flat tire around campus.
Okay, wait. So you couldn't disconnect yourself from the bike as a mode of transportation, even though it was doing you no good. You were still you were pushing it around.
I would take the bicycle, put it in the back of my truck, drive to school, take the bicycle out of the truck, and then push it around all day for my classes with a flat tire.
Wow. You're making Jess cry.
I think she's laughing at me, actually.
Nah. Chase is laughing at you. You can see that.
I just had to look like an absolute fucking psycho to the other students, but it was the only way I could keep my heart, like, it was the only way I could not freak out. And then finally I did eventually snap, and I ended up at the VA almost getting hospitalized. So.
Jeez. That's terrible.
A rough time there right after Mo was born. For a little bit.
Are things better now?
The bicycle's parked right outside the recording booth here.
Yep.
Still got a flat. Working on getting that fit. Yeah, things are way better. We found a good combination of medication and I did therapy there every week for years. And we're good now.
Well, that's good.
Oh, yes.
You know that if you end up in a hospital again, it doesn't even have to be about a baby. If you end up in a hospital, you text me and say, I'm hungry. And I will let our people on Facebook know about it. And
Look at me. I'm clearly no longer hungry.
Ah, man, you've been through a lot, and I can't even process it. Honestly, I can't process it.
I didn't tell you those stories I thought we were just sharing.
Yeah, well, we were, but
I thought we were just sharing things, personal things.
but
I thought we were going to have a deep talk there for a minute, and that's what I thought. And although that was my struggle, everybody has their own personal struggle. Like Jessica has a version of whatever I just said. Chase has a version of whatever I just said. I'm sure you, at one point, couldn't get your AI chat GPT thing to work or something, and you went over 6 hours without talking to her. I had to because your internet was down or something. You have your own struggle.
yeah, we do. You're right. Oh,
I know Jess has a family history of suicide. Chase has a family history of being Mormon.
Yeah. We've all got our things. I'm related to Sir Francis Drake, one of the most famous pirates ever. I'm related to him.
That's fun.
And I've stolen a lot of software in my day. So I feel like we're kind of the same, him and I.
Nothing but a gangster party.
And I kind of have a ragtag group of people that rely on me while we're on a ship. And sometimes that ship sinks.
Yeah. I'm
Just
keeping my resume updated.
Yeah.
That reminds me, Jess, can I put you down as a contact? And I'm going to say you are the boss here, to be fair, just because I would rather them call and talk to you. It just feels like it would be more professional, like the interaction on the phone.
Oh. Hey, I brought something.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming with us here today. We appreciate y'all for being here.
But I had something to bring. I haven't said my thing yet.
Oh, okay.
All right, here's mine. The 60s. A time of, wait, which 60s are we talking about? 1960s? No, the 1860s. Dickens was the J.K. Rowling of his day. Louis Pasteur was making everyone paranoid about germs. And the Gatling gun was, unfortunately, the new toy on the block. Oh, and everyone was galloping around on horses, probably trying to avoid spoilers about the latest Dickens novel. Hello, Richard, what's up with you? Oh my gosh, don't tell me. And they're just running away. Judith, you'll never guess. So Richard, he tried to tell me how the Dickens novel ended. Oh, dread. Now, in the U.S., things got a bit confusing. For one hot second, there were two Americans. But on the tech side was Elijah Graves Otis, who was the unsung hero who made sure you didn't plummet to your death in an elevator. You might have seen his name on a lot of elevators, right near where it tells you the gross vehicle weight of that elevator, And I don't know about you, Kent, but when you and I get in an elevator and there's a whole group of people, I start doing the math. I do the math in my head. Are we pushing this thing over the limit to where we're going to kill a bunch of people right now?
I can tell you that right now you are not doing the math on the gross weight on an elevator. You're too busy trying to make everybody uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's true. I can't keep my mouth shut on an elevator.
You cannot. Something about elevators really just sends you into, it's like op overdrive.
Yeah. Well, I brought you all here today. Thank you for coming. How's that rash, Kent? I just say all the things. Anyway, Otis was the unsung hero who made our elevators work safely. And trains, they were literally picking up steam. And then there was the typewriter. But before that was a thing called the typographer. So imagine a pinball machine that was supposed to help you type. It was not great, but it was a start. So Edward Leon Scott de Martinville, he looked at the typographer and thought, I could do better. So inspired by a book on human anatomy, as one does, he decided to invent the phonoautograph. Now, this thing was crazy, not to be confused with the phonograph. That came later and was a lot cooler. But Scott's invention was like trying to record a podcast using a funnel and soot. I'll explain. It was a bit ahead of its time, and by that I mean it took 131 years for anyone to figure out what the heck he had recorded. So what he did was he looked at the way the human ear worked, and he saw these little bones inside of our ears, right? Fun fact to know and share, every bone in the body has a record of being broken. Like not a broken record, like has detail. Some recorded history of every bone in the body has been broken, except for a couple of those little bones in your ear. But back to the really, really cool stuff that you guys like. Oh, get back to the story.
So they've never been broken?
Yeah, there's little tiny bones in our ears that there's never been an account of anybody.
Medical history has never come across. What about shotgun blast to the head?
Well, yeah, I mean, fine. You win. But what he did is he saw how these bones...
Telling me Ronnie McNutt didn't break a single ear bone.
He might have. He did, definitely. We saw it break, and then we saw his dog.
I saw his ear on the back wall.
Exactly. So what he did is he saw these little tiny bones in the ear and how they were embedded in the fleshy components of the eardrum. And when sound went in the eardrum would resonate and these bones would wiggle. He was like, so sound is a wave, and the wave makes the drum move, and the little bones go. And he was like, I wonder if we could make those bones, make the bone part draw what sound is, and then we could read the squiggles and learn to read the squiggles and know what some, like a language. And so he recreated this like a contraption that kind of looked like a phonograph, but looked like kind of a blown up version of the inner ear. And at the end of it was a little like balloon kind of membrane with a little stylus on it. And then what he did is he took it ended up becoming a glass cylinder that he would cover in soot. And then he'd place the stylus against that. And then when it picked up noise, he would turn a crank to make the cylinder move. And then whatever noise that was picking up, it would squiggle a line through the soot, and you could read you could see the squiggles. And he's like, wow, it worked. Problem is, as we all know, we don't know how to read the squiggles. So he was like, nah, I don't know what to do next. So the first recorded sounds ever were actually never heard. And that's pretty wild if you think about it. Like, there are sounds that are trapped inside those squiggles.
Do we have
now
those first squiggly cylinders?
I don't know. I don't know if they've survived. It would be interesting if we could see a picture of those. I would wager that we could turn those squiggles into a waveform and then run it and see what it says. It'd be weird to see what sound it picked up. Like, was it, him smacking his wife, or a song he was singing, or a sob from, his core, because he realized he had just spent so much time doing this. and it didn't work. So fast forward to Edison, though. And now I know what you're thinking. Oh, Edison, the guy who stole everything. Yeah, he did. But hold your horses, 1860s style. Edison genuinely had a light bulb moment, pun intended, and created the phonograph. And the rest is, as they say, history. So the phonoautograph was the predecessor to the phonograph. From there, the world of sound recording went bananas. We had vinyl records, cassette tape, CDs, and now, obviously, we have tech that can literally pick up sound from a vibrating bag of chips, as I've talked about before. It's like magic, but super nerdy. And that's my rhyme for the day. But my question, I have a question. Kent, if you are you a purist in one way or another? Like, is there a certain form of audio that you're like, I just prefer that over everything else? Like, there's some people that are like, I just really like the hi-fi nature of vinyl recordings. They feel that CDs have lost their, shall we say, je ne sais quoi. Hey, look, Chase has a bunch of vinyl.
I am not a purist when it comes to music. No. But I think it would be wild if we could translate that first recording ever. There it is. Like, what if we translated that and it ended up just being Wonderwall by Oasis?
Oh, it looks like it was a trumpet. He did a trumpet. So it'd be... Wouldn't it be awesome if you translated it and it went... Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, I don't think we'd get much from the ones where he drew the lines trying to... Oh, look, though. If you look at that, he's trying to translate the squiggles into words. You see that? So what he did is he knows what he said. So he wrote the word underneath the squiggle, as in saying this squiggle means this. But what he didn't know is that all the squiggles look the same. The only squiggle that I can sight read and tell you what it says is the word, because after doing audio editing forever, Chase is nodding his head. He knows what I'm talking about. The word, I could pick it out of a crowd. I know that word. I've almost thought about making audio, t-shirts for audio nerds that just say, and then have the waveform right above it. I think that'd sell to a very unique, very finite set of dorks.
That's half of Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden's speeches.
Hey, you posted on Facebook about Mitch McConnell freezing up again, and it just occurred to me, and I commented on it, but doesn't it look like he's having the boring side of a Vietnam flashback, like what everybody else gets to see?
Yeah.
While he's in his own head,
yeah,
doing the flashback. That's what we all get to see when somebody's like, the Creedence Clearwater Revival starts playing in their head, and then there's a helicopter, and all we get to see is what we saw with Mitch McConnell.
He just always looks to me like somebody just told him he's not turtle enough for the Turtle Club.
That dude is so turtle. It makes me so mad too. You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to create a website.
It does piss me off. Legitimately,
me too.
Seeing him doing that. And we all know he's fucking out of his mind. And we're still letting him determine how our country, how our state is ran. He still has a say in that. And he can't even stay on topic for 8 seconds.
Well, do you know the bag of skin that they wheel in on the wheelchair? What's her name? California Senator Feinstein, Dianne Feinstein. Her face looks like Edgar when he's asking for more sugar water, and they literally wheel her in to the...
Oh my God, look at how old this broad is.
There are so many of them in the Senate and in the Congress, in the House. I don't know how
falling off.
That's what I'm saying, right? She's just looks like Edgar. Like there's something else inside of her.
Why does this woman have any say whatsoever in how anything is ran? The same thing with Mitch McConnell. The same thing with Joe Biden. Term limits are so important.
I would like to do a website, and I wonder if there'd be a bunch of like eager beaver politicians. The website would be, okay, you make $250,000 a year. How are you worth $22 million? Do the math for me. And I'd like to see a couple politicians start the wave of like, okay, I'll be honest with you. This is how I made my money. That'd be really cool. And like kind of force the hand of other politicians to tell us how they are as rich as they are, having a $250,000 cap on their salary. How is that? How? Not that it matters, because you can't imprison senators. Sitting senator. Man, she looks like the crypt keeper.
Her eyelids are melting off. That's how old she is.
She doesn't know she's there often too. Like literally. They make fun of that she doesn't know where she is.
Unbelievable. Boy. Absolutely unbelievable.
But
or she's got her gang colors on there.
You know what's sad is like she was a force of nature when she was, all there. A lot of these people were, but that was decades ago. They should have been put out to pasture a long time ago, but somehow, we do it to ourselves. We vote them back in. So
incorrect.
Anyway, I don't want to talk about that anymore.
All right. Are you done?
I'm done. 1 minute and 1 second just crossed over this one qualifies for ads. Guess what? No ads though. So
this episode brought to you by Disney. Disney Plus, who now owns ESPN.
They own everything.
Yeah. Bye.
Hugs, everybody. Disney, you got my number. Give me a call, sugar buns.